Hey, NFL fans, joining me is it's NFL legend and former Washington Redskin Hog, Joe Jacoby. Joe, thanks a lot for taking a few minutes of your time to talk about you and your career and the absence of you in the Hall of Fame.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I look forward to covering some things and enjoy being on with you.
So what have you been doing since you retired from the NFL?
Oh, I've been doing quite a few things. I mean, I've been in the auto business. I had a franchise with Chrysler, did that for about 15, 16 years. Sold that 2008, went back into coaching, was coaching Division III college for 4, 5, 6 years, high school along with that. So I'm kind of back in the business world, doing a little bit of coaching still with some specialty camps with the linemen, big men camp we run down here in the Carolinas. We take the top linemen both North and South Carolina, and we do a camp for about 5 weeks with them just on the weekends. So it's been kind of fun doing that. And just in the business world, doing all types of different insurance products and services and trying to help people out in those needs.
Is there a website for your insurance company?
Well, I think it's still up and running. I haven't checked it recently, but it's Joe Jacoby Insurance Solution, I think, is the name of but I don't know if that's the website, but I think if they just punch anything Joe Jacoby, it's going to come up something, either the football related or my current business endeavors.
Very good. So you've been staying really active. But let's go back to when you were a child, long before your NFL journey. What was your first memory?
I don't know if it's memories. I think, there's the sports. I think that my family, my brothers, we were all very active. It's hard to believe, Brian, but I got a brother the same size as me, an older brother. So we were very competitive. Of course, there was a lot of scuffling going on in the house as we were growing up, but yeah, it's just a good family. My brother and I stay in contact. We did lose a little brother who passed away.
Sorry.
But when he was younger, he was 14. But, I don't know what you would call a typical family, but I think typical family as far as, the sports world and all that, and then the social aspect with the family, we all headed our different directions and stuff as we got older.
Yeah. Well, you and I are less than 2 years apart. What were you doing when Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong first landed on the moon?
Gosh, that was 68, wasn't it?
69, yeah.
Oh, 69? That's right. It was July 20th, 1969.
Yeah.
So, gosh, that's hard to believe. That's coming up here in a couple weeks. Geez, what was I? I was 9, I think 9 years old, 9 or 10 years old. I remember we were watching it as a family in our house, and it was kind of cool. And then you see where we're at now in society, and now it's almost private stuff,
Yeah.
selling seats to go up in space. And of course, I don't think either you or we can afford that ticket to get on one of those planes right now to go up into space.
You think we'll wait till the flying rates go down a little bit?
Yeah. Maybe we'll go on Priceline.com or something like that, get a better price.
Well, how old were you when you were first introduced to football in general?
I was in the 5th grade. I was pulled along because of my older brother was going to play. We were going to a Catholic school, and they were starting football. And gosh, he's 2 years older than me, so he was in the 7th grade. No, I was older. I was not in the 5th grade. I was younger. I must have been in the 4th, and he was in the 6th because there was elementary school type of football. And I remember that, and the coach we had, and you were getting what equipment they had available, and of course the condition was based on how well it was turned in from the previous year, and how well it was taken care of and stored away. So I just it was just trying to figure out where I belong and all that. So it just. And then went from there. We moved and played seventh and eighth grade. We were out further away from the city in the county school system, and of course they had the youth league, and I was on a team. And one thing led to another. I just continued to play playing basketball, and not much on baseball. Don't take this wrong. I'm probably going to upset some people, but I thought the game was kind of boring. There wasn't enough activity going on for me, standing out in the outfield. Maybe I was that kid stuck out in right field. I don't know.
I remember I played Little League Baseball for 1 year. I was a pitcher, and then I got beelined right between the eyes with a line drive. And I said, no, I think I'll take on football because it seems to be a lot less violent than baseball.
Well, at least you had a helmet on and the protection.
Yeah. And so when did you start out as an offensive lineman? Have you always played those positions?
Yeah, unfortunately, because I was one of those kids that went through school, and I was pre-perceived, I guess, or I would hate to use the word, I was labeled because I was a big kid, and they just assumed he's a lineman. So I was stuck there. So they didn't stick me inside with the center. I never snapped the ball. At least I figured that out. I didn't want somebody's hand on my backside, on my rear. So I didn't want to be a center. So I ended up being out on the ends, being a tackle.
Yeah. Well, at 6'6", when you were in the pros, man, you were a formidable force, and that's for sure.
Well,
but you were a 3-year letterman with the University of Louisville. Your accolades were just amazing. Yet the NFL, at the time, I think there were, 28 organizations when you were first drafted?
Gosh, was it 28 back then? No, I think we got up to 30.
Yeah.
Because I think Seattle and Tampa Bay came in in the 70s. Wasn't that early 70s or mid 70s? So there was 30. But it's hard to believe. I mean, back there, this is the 40th anniversary of my first year in the league, 1981.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And then you look back on it and you see where the game has evolved. And a lot of that has to do, we're kind of being a part of it right now with what we can do on our computers and stuff, the social media, all that. It has exploded this game. And I think the other thing that exploded the game was 1993 when the Reggie White court case and all that were free agency settled that. And then you saw the rise in the salaries and all that, and the entertainment aspect kind of grew from that aspect, and the league. I mean, they just signed that goes, I think next year or 2023. I mean, they have a 100% increase in their revenue, their TV market, or whatever they call it now. Yeah. So I mean, they're making $11 billion here just off that one entity.
Yeah, but what really amazes me is that here you came into the league undrafted. All these GMs, they had to be kicking themselves in the butt when they realized just how good you actually were, how dominating of a player you were, and yet they passed you up. And I bet even to this day, some of them got to be kicking themselves in their rear end saying, what was I thinking?
Brad, back then, after my senior year, I only had one team come visit me. And that was Washington.
Yeah.
Out of the 29 other teams did not show any interest. And I can see where they had those, I I can't remember what the names. There are certain groups or that were back then that a lot of the teams signed up with. It was kind of like a national scouting, and they got all the information from them. And why my name wasn't on there, I don't know. Louisville wasn't what it is now, as far as but they went through a lot of growing pains, and I knew Louisville was getting ready after I left there in the early '80s to get rid of football because of the losing and the financial drain, and what had happened from my stories and what I heard that the big contributors, the people who were big U of L supporters, came at that time the athletic director with Bill Olson. And they talked Bill into not ending the football program and go out and get a coach. And that's when they got Howard Schnellenberger. And they brought Howard in, and he changed the whole mindset there and put Louisville back on the map as far as helping recruiting and everything. And I think what helped them is when that Fiesta Bowl, Louisville got invited to that, and Louisville beat Alabama in that Fiesta Bowl. And, from there, things kind of exploded even more. So it's kind of neat to see those things change. But back when I was there, I mean, it was fun. We didn't play a lot. The only reason I got noticed by Washington, because they had the University of Pittsburgh film, and we played them that year. They had Mark May, Russ Grimm, Hugh Green, Ricky Jackson. I mean, they were loaded up. They had Bill Moss. I'm trying to remember everybody on that. So I had a great game, and I caught their attention because, as you said, he's 6'7", tall, lanky kid. He's got good arms, and he's got good feet. And Joe Bugle came down from Washington and worked me out for about 2.5 hours. And I said, I'm in the locker room at the campus there at Louisville. After we got done, I'm going, I don't know if I want to play this game. He kicked my butt, the stuff we did and all that. So, they told me they were interested in me. They would like to draft me late. Back then, there was 12 rounds, not the 7 they have now. They had 12 rounds. But, but they would still love to have me be part of the team. So after the draft, the second day, I sitting in the house, my phone's ringing off the hook. Now all the other teams are calling because there's no roster limit. Mm-hmm. So they're going to bring 120, 125 guys to camp. And I was just filling a spot. Basically, we were the live dummies. And that's all you were there for, because camp was 6 weeks back then. And they needed bodies. So, I got a call from Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, even my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. No, I'm teasing them. And at the front door, the doorbell rings, and there was a scout from Seattle at the house. So we invited him in. He had a 3-year contract, and he was waiting for me, wanted me to sign. And I'm still waiting on Washington to call. They hadn't called yet. And my brother goes, yeah, sure they want it. Yeah. So, he's giving me grief. And then finally Washington calls. They had a plane ticket, wanted me to fly up to D.C. I said, sure. So I hang up with them. I told the guy from Seattle I'll be back in a bit. Went back in the bedroom, packed a bag, and my brother was going to take me. And I told the scout from Seattle, I said, well, I'm going up to Washington and visit with them. I'll let you know when I get back what my decision will be. I said, but right now I'm heading to the airport to catch a plane to go up there. And he goes, well, I'm leaving to fly out. I could take you to the airport. So the scout from Seattle drove me to the airport to catch my flight to Washington. So
irony.
So yeah, I look back on that. It's kind of funny, and then you wonder if the scout, after the first couple of years in the league, he's going, "Gosh, I had the guy in my car. I could have just locked him in and made him sign."
Yeah, but I look back, ever since the heydays of the Washington Redskin Hogs and all the great players, I believe ever since your last Super Bowl, the Redskins have only been to the playoffs like 2 or 3 times.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about this whole situation? What is the reasoning behind it? Is it parity? Is it the organization itself?
I think it's all the above. Everything you mentioned plays a part. I think it all what has gone on with this franchise and this organization since we left. It's hard to believe. It's it'll be almost 30 years since I've been with the team. My last year was 1993. I got, we're in year 28 out away from football.
Yeah.
And their success has been very limited, like you said. And most of that success came when Coach Gibbs came back and his second tenure there as coaching. I think anything that could go wrong went wrong. It was like Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
A thing just been bad, and then other people making bad decisions, and it just continued to mount. And it's taken a while to dig out. I do like who they have now as head coach. I know Ron. I think Ron is going to be good for the organization. But I mean, if the rest of the organization doesn't catch up with him, they're not going to be successful. They got to put all the pieces together, and that's the thing about it. When being with Coach Gibbs and the staffs he had, and even Bobby Beathard, the scouting department, there was no egos there. All those were checked at the door. Because we went into that building, I mean, and we went in and we came out and we operated as a team. And yeah, was there hard feelings? Did we all get along? No. There's a lot of people in there, and not everybody's going to see things the same way you see it. And there was, we had our conflicts along the way, but some of that was well kept and it didn't need to be out in public. You take care of your own people, take care of what's going on. It don't need to be out in the Washington Post or any other media site and having them chime in with their opinion, because they're not there every day. They don't know what's going on, and everybody wants to put their 2 cents in. You don't need their 2 cents because they're not going to get any change back, and you don't want them involved in all that. So I think the outside distractions has affected this team somewhat in certain years. Hopefully they can put that by. It's kind of hard to not to. I mean, there is a lot of things coming at these young guys and the staff and all that. And it's how well Ron will control all that. And I think he will do a better job. Not to say the other coaches didn't try and didn't do what they could. I just think you need to, this is our house. It stays here. Nobody else is living in this house. And you bring somebody in from the outside that's standing outside, and you have them giving your thoughts and opinion when they're not involved on a daily basis. I think it creates more animosity, more strife. I think you need to work and solve things within house.
Well, let's see. You've been to 4 Super Bowls, won 3 of them. You were in the named to the Pro Bowl 4 times, 3 times All-Pro. Yet, despite all your accolades, you're not in the Hall of Fame. You've got more Super Bowl wins, more Super Bowl appearances than 75% of all the other offensive linemen that are in the Hall. Now, I know the selection process includes all these pro football writers. some of them who've never even played Pop Warner football, but yet they seem to be these saviors and know-alls of everything. Do you think the process itself needs to be changed? And why do you think it is that you haven't been in the hall yet?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question. You know, people have their thoughts and opinions of this. And just like I was previously stating, with those outside sources come in and try to make an evaluation of a team they're not involved with day-to-day basis. And nothing against the sports writers. I mean, they really, you think about it, it's kind of a tough job to do. Because all of a sudden, it's just, we're talking about one individual, but I know there's 48 of them now that vote on this, and something like that. But they got to come down. So you got a preliminary list that starts with the modern. So now you got to pick out of that. And how many of them are actually going to watch film? How many actually are going to look and study and make that? There are some. I'm not criticizing that, but each one has their own style of how they're going to do this. A lot of them get advice from people who are involved in football daily basis, who understand the game and get their thoughts and opinion on that. And that's how they evaluate. That's fine. But they know their weaknesses, they know their strength, and they're going to do that. I don't know the answer to my question. I mean, that's a tough decision. I mean, I still think, this is my personal opinion, right or wrong, just the way I feel. I still think, because of where I came up as an undrafted free agent, I do know there's undrafted free agents who are in the Hall of Fame and all that, but I still think that's hold up if I'm going against a guy who's a first round draft choice.
Yeah.
And he's one of the finalists. They're going to look at, and it's just human nature. If you're a writer and all that, okay, this guy's a first round draft choice. He's got better credentials than the undrafted free agent. And then they're going to look at the school he went to. He may have went to Michigan, Ohio State, USC, Louisville. Does play a part in it. I mean, everything comes into play at this point. Unfortunately, I wish it wouldn't. Unfortunately, I wish they'd look at what the body of work that went into that 13-year career. Just not me, but every individual that's up for the Hall of Fame. And this vote on that, or this vote on what he's meant to that organization that he was involved with. Obviously, I meant something.
Oh, yeah.
In 13 years, 4 Super Bowls. In the years since I've been gone, you mentioned it earlier, they've been in the playoffs 2 or 3 times. So the Hogs and myself personally added something to that team. Did we make the team better? Yes. Did I make the team better? I would hope a majority of the people would say yes.
Yeah, and the fact that you won 3 Super Bowls under 3 quarterbacks, that's even more of a testimony towards that offensive line.
So it comes down to personalities and and how people evaluate and how they move the process along in their mind. I mean, yelling at these people and criticizing them and how they can do that. And it's kind of neat to see now. As part of me, I'm on the social media thing, but I do it for more entertainment, because I think it's kind of sometimes funny and hearing these comments and stuff and what people make. But it's not really funny, but the passion that these people have for the sport they love, or their team they love, or that individual they love. So it's kind of neat to see all that play out, all that. And there are some die-hard football fans. I mean, they love. I mean, I see you got an LSU hat on. So see, but that's something that it brightens our day. And if they do well, we feel I feel better. We all feel better because they won, and everybody wants to be associated with a winner.
You
That's
know,
my thought.
a lot of these people, they look at Pro Bowls, but
Right.
and there are some who had more than you had. But you ask these Pro Bowl players, would they trade in 10, 12, 14 Pro Bowl appearances for just one Super Bowl? And they would all say, yes, they would.
Oh, yeah.
And you won 3 of them. You were there in 4. There is just absolutely no excuse. You and I spoke before about Art Modell. There was this one writer, I'm not going to mention his name, in Cleveland, who is very, very adamant to this day, is very hostile towards allowing Art Modell entry into the hall. He's been such a negative influence going to these other writers and saying, don't vote for him, when just like you, Art Modell should be his bust should be presented in the hall.
I know. It's amazing. We put Jerry Jones in, and nothing against Jerry Jones. I mean, he's done some great things, but so did Art Modell. And this writer doesn't agree because he moved the Browns from Cleveland to Baltimore. But he couldn't get the deal and what he wanted from Cleveland. That writer should have been upset with his elected officials who let this thing get out of hand and them to move, not Art Modell.
Exactly. Well, look, why don't we finish up? I've got a word association for you, and just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Least favorite food?
Oh, God. Soup.
All-time favorite TV show?
Whoa. MASH.
Nice choice. All-time favorite movie?
True Grit.
Nice choice.
John Wayne fan.
All-time favorite music band?
I'd probably say wait a minute. No, all time for me, it's between either Bob Seger or the Eagles.
Oh, yes, the Eagles.
Yeah.
Nice. Especially with Linda Ronstadt, when they performed together, yeah. It was absolute magic. All right, let's see. Most annoying thing.
Most annoying thing. I can't think of anything. Really, I mean, there's probably something, but nothing that comes to my mind right now.
You can always get back with me, and I'll I'll let everybody know. Family.
My life.
Death.
It's not dying. We still live. All I got to believe is in the sun.
Politics.
Maybe. So now we answer the most annoying thing.
And finally, God.
Yes. My God. True one, only God. Son came down for us, Jesus Christ.
There we go. And we are brothers, siblings within the faith.
Amen.
Well, Joe, I guess we tore it up about as much as we can. And
we got here eventually.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much. And do you have any words of inspiration to the Washington Redskins going into this upcoming season?
I'm glad you still use that name. People go, they're the Washington football team. Well, that's what they are now. But I played for the Washington Redskins. And you could take it any way you want, but that's who I played for. It wasn't the Washington football team. They were called the Washington Redskins. So words of wisdom, I would think believe in your team. I think Coach Ron is going to do the job. I think things are turning around. Hopefully we'll see a more a little bit slight improvement over last year. Even though they made the playoffs, it was not a pretty way to make the playoffs, but hopefully they continue to grow from there.
Very good. Joe, thank you so much. And NFL fans, you've been watching NFL legend and former Washington Redskin Hog, Joe Jacoby.
All right. Thanks, Brian.